Have you ever set a big goal and started the year off with great intentions only to find yourself disappointed that you've fallen off track? Maybe life got in the way or you just lost momentum. It's frustrating, isn't it? I've been there myself. The sinking feeling that maybe it's not even worth your time anymore because you're so far behind. It can make it really difficult to even feel like you want to start over again. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to reset your goals and do so without the overwhelm or the guilt. That way, you can create a plan to regain your momentum and do so with confidence. You're listening to The Next Step with Corrie Lo, where we transform overwhelm into confident action. I'm Corrie Lo, keynote speaker, coach, and working mama for here to help ambitious women just like you take the next step, whether that be leadership at work, at home, or in your community. Let's get started. I remember maybe 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, I had set this huge goal that I was going to write a book. And everything was going great with it until it wasn't. Between various family responsibilities and work deadlines and health issues, my progress just completely stalled. Like it was non existent. I felt so discouraged about the whole thing that I continued to avoid the project. It was like, why even bother? At this point, it's obvious that the universe doesn't have it in the cards for me, right? Otherwise, all this other stuff wouldn't be happening. But here's the thing. Life happens. Falling off track doesn't mean failure. It's just part of the process. Honestly, what matters is how you reset and how you continue to move forward, no matter what. Some super common reasons for losing momentum include things like unrealistic expectations and timelines. Who's been guilty of this? I know I have. Right? We are our own worst enemy, especially for women like me and probably you who are type A overachieving perfectionists. Having an unrealistic expectation or deadline is going to ultimately demotivate you. And in a way, we do it to protect ourselves. And that's a whole topic for another episode. So if that's something you want to dive in deeper, let me know. Some common reasons for losing momentum include things like unrealistic expectations and timeline. The tough part about that is a lot of times we are the ones that put those unrealistic timelines and expectations upon ourselves. It's not necessarily other people, though a lot of times it can be. Other reasons could be a lack of flexibility whenever life throws you a curveball. It's going to happen. Right? So, how exactly do you change and adapt? And then, lastly, not having systems in place to keep you accountable. Right? Some of the things that I use for myself and even recommend to my clients include things like personal accountability tools. One that I use is called my goal positioning system. It's a dashboard that I created in Notion where every single week I set an appointment for myself and I look at my overall progress. What went well? What didn't go well? What could I do better later? So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely check out the show notes. We will link to it. Other ways to keep yourself accountable would be things like joining a group coaching program or a mastermind, or maybe even hiring a coach or finding a mentor to keep you on track towards what you say you're going to do. All right. So we've identified that you've fallen off track, right? Where do we go from here? Here's 5 quick things that you could do to take action next. First things first, you've got to release the guilt and assess the present, right? Time to ditch the guilt, girlfriend. Let's go. Guilt doesn't serve you. It only keeps you stuck. And what actually moves you forward is honest reflection on your current situation. So like I mentioned before that I use in my goal positioning system dashboard, next step is ask yourself these questions. What's worked so far? What went well? What didn't go well? What can I do differently next time? What's changed since I set this goal? This gives you some intel so that you have a better understanding on what you need to do to be able to pivot and maybe adjust your goal to keep momentum and keep moving. Next step is to adjust your goal if necessary. Let's be honest, it's okay to revisit your goal or to eliminate it altogether, especially if it's something that doesn't fit your current reality. So a great relatable example on this. So many people in January every year set this goal and intention that they're going to work out every day. And they start off with the intention to do 5 days a week, and then they never end up getting there. So maybe as part of your reflection during this to get back on track, you notice, hey, I wasn't able to do 5 days a week, but I was able to do 3. So just adjust your standard to 3 a week and be so happy with that because that's 3 exercises that are helping improve your physical health and wellness versus doing nothing before. So if necessary, adjust your goal to something that's actually achievable based on your current circumstances. Next step is to kick it off again. You could break it down into micro steps that are easily achievable in the now. The reason why we do this is because small wins, when done regularly, actually increase your confidence and regain your momentum. So choose just one action that you could take today to get you kickstarted again and bring you one step closer towards your goal. The next step is to take those micro steps, but plan them out over a more realistic time frame. Don't put pressure on yourself to get it all done right away. Make sure that you get it done in a manner that works for you in your current circumstances. So if your goal is to complete a certification, for example, and you have a ton of other stuff on your plate right now, maybe you set the intention to work towards it an hour a week as opposed to getting it all done within 1 month. So you're shifting the focus on when the due date is to it being more of a, okay, I'm going to chip away at it little by little, no matter what in that week, versus having it all completed by a specific deadline. And last up is build in some accountability in some way, shape, or form, whatever works for you. Ultimately, it doesn't matter how you do it, but by sharing your goal and intention with somebody else, it recommits you to getting it done and refocus you and keep you on track. So find a friend, find a mentor, hire a coach. That was one of the things I did to get my book back on track. I hired an author coach, right? So that I always had that regular accountability to have to come back to it regardless of whatever was going around in my personal life. And check in with them regularly. And if you find at some point in time after re-going through this process and regaining momentum that you fall off track again, it's not a big deal. You just go back and repeat this process again. So there you have it. Today we talked about how falling off track and losing momentum is normal. We also discussed why it happens, and I shared 5 simple steps that you could take to regain that momentum and start taking action again. So your next step for today is I want you to think about one goal that maybe you stalled on and take 10 minutes out of your day to go through the 5 steps that we talked about today. And if you need some help structuring that reset, be sure to check out my goal positioning mini course. We're going to link to it in the show notes for you. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And remember, resetting doesn't mean that you're starting over. It means that you're continuing to grow. And for that alone, I am proud of you for continuing to show up. Next week, we're going to dive into how to set boundaries in relationships, especially when it comes to protecting your personal and professional life. I'll see you there. Thanks for checking out The Next Step with Corrie Lo. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave a review. Together, we'll transform overwhelm into action, and we'll keep taking the next step towards confident leadership. See you next time.